What is going on, New York Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video, and the rumor mill is circulating once again with someone who has been linked to the New York Jets for, well, nearly 2 years at that point, and that is Davante Adams. And the situation in Vegas is certainly getting messy. I want to get into it right now. So you may have seen Antonio Pierce, the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, like a post on Instagram about Davante Adams being done in Vegas. Well, naturally, Davante Adams has a weekly spot on the Kay Adams show. She asked Davante about it. Now, this is a little bit of a longer clip, fair warning, but I think it's important to listen to the whole thing as there's a lot of context in the full clip. I don't want to just cut it short and take anything, without the full context. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's play it.
So this big story happens where they think your coach, or your coach did, I actually don't know, likes this post about you getting traded. When you heard of that, I guess my first question is, how soon did you hear from coach?
Yeah, I haven't heard from him. I haven't talked to him. So I haven't, I don't know. I don't really know exactly what that was about. Obviously, I got, social media is a beast. So it's a lot of people out there that saw it and, wondering what's going on and people reaching out. And yeah, I haven't spoke to him.
Well, I'm surprised by that. I would think okay. Well, I would think you work together every day. So if that, I would say, right. oh shoot, I accidentally hit that, I unliked it. Now it's this huge story. Is that just kind of like what the dynamic is? That's not something that you want to hear from him?
Honestly, it's hard to comment on.
Okay.
I'm sure you would imagine as such, but it's one of those situations where I just keep my head down and keep doing my thing and, let the chips fall where they may as it pertains to that. But I haven't, there's been no communication with anybody from the team since that became a thing. But, it's kind of just like the weekly what's up with Tay thing. It's always some sort of drama. But at the end of the day, 1-7 doesn't create any of it. So people can say what they want, but I'm just chilling, trying to be the model for, not stirring the pot and just locking in and doing what I got to do.
This is interesting. Things don't seem to be going all that well in Vegas, which unfortunately for the Raiders isn't crazy surprising. Expectations weren't really that high for them going into the year. And if the Raiders are going into a rebuild, trading away Davante Adams for picks is something that makes a ton of sense. A big reason for that is because Adams, at his age, is kind of going to want to be in a win-now scenario, and I don't know how much he is going to help the Raiders in their next window of opportunity. And, he is an asset that could yield a pretty decent return of probably mid-round draft picks for you. At this point, not going to yield you a first-round pick. We see guys get traded all the time for, value that is way underwhelming in terms of the production of the player. And in this spot, I'm thinking a couple mid-round picks is probably enough in order to land a player at Davante Adams' level. And when you look at it, he is still really productive. I mean, last year had 1,100 yards, 1,144 yards, and 8 touchdowns with Jimmy G and Aiden O'Connell throwing in the ball. This year, 209 yards and a touchdown in 3 games. He's a 2-time first-team All-Pro with Aaron Rodgers, and he's had 4 seasons with 1,300-plus yards. He's had 1,500-plus yard seasons. Even at 32 years old, he is still a damn good football player. Adams is one of the best route runners in the NFL, and again, he is still an awesome player even at his age. This doesn't completely fix everything. I know we spent a lot of this week talking about the Jets coaching staff, and again, this doesn't just completely wipe the slate clean, but I think we could all agree that this makes the Jets a better football team and that we need the New York Jets to be a better team in order for them to win games. And this doesn't have to be looked at as a knock against Garrett Wilson. I happen to like Garrett Wilson a great deal, and I think he is going to be, a very good player, and I think he gets on the same page with Aaron Rodgers at some point. But this is about maximizing your window of opportunity when you have a 40-year-old quarterback. And you could try to just get by with what the Jets have, but if you do that, I feel like you're just wasting time. Right now, the Jets are 2-2, and they are a poorly coached football team. Landing a premier wide receiver, even at his age, like a Davante Adams, he's too talented to pass up, and it makes your wide receiver room significantly deeper because we know, like right now, yeah, Allen Lazard has had a resurgence. That's good. Mike Williams has been good in a small sample size, but they're one injury away from having to play guys like Xavier Gibson, who hasn't been very good in a much bigger role. And I want to make this team deeper, and I want this team to be harder to defend. I want them to go for it, man. Like, you don't bring in an Aaron Rodgers to just be like, yeah, well, let's try to end the playoff drought. We're going to go, 9-8 or 10-7 because they're not really all that well coached, but we have talent on this roster. Like, I want them to go for it. And honestly, acquiring Davante Adams is not nearly as catastrophic as some fans would make this out to be. We have people in the comments on social media who are so afraid of the cap and using cap space and acquiring veterans and paying players. It's really frustrating, especially for those who think they understand it when they really don't. And looking at what his cap hit is in 2024, if he was acquired right now via spot track, it would be $13.5 million. If acquired at the deadline, it would be $8.6 million. And then looking at his next 2 years, yeah, $36 million is a lot. None of that money is guaranteed. So they could get out, the acquiring team could get out of that contract without having a penalty in 2025 and 2026. So you could essentially, if you really wanted to just use him as a deadline rental, that is $8 million. The Jets have $16.8 million in cap space because the guy that the Jets acquired to put this pass rush over the top, Hassan Reddick, is still holding out for some God knows what reason at this point. Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams have a connection from when they worked together in Green Bay. And boy, did it work together. Adams was the best wide receiver in football for a few years when they were together. And even though you've have the likes of Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and Tyreek Hill and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and list goes on and on and on, we can't deny that even at 32, Davante Adams is still one of the league's premier receivers, one of the league's premier route runners, and he makes this team better. Do you not think that Garrett Wilson could gain something at a young point in his career from a player of this caliber? Look at what happened with Darrelle Revis in 2008. They bring in Ty Law, and Ty Law at the tail end of his career, but was useful for the Jets down the stretch that season. And then, oh yeah, by the way, Darrelle Revis takes his game to another level the following year in going into, at that point, his third year in the league in 2009. Similar situation. Garrett Wilson's in his third year right now. Comparative to expectations, he's gotten off to a slow start. Same thing with Breece Hall. I'm not out on either one of those guys after 4 games. I think that's silly. We've seen a lot of good from both those players, but they need help. Clearly, because they're not getting it done right now. The Jets' best players, and Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, their best playmakers, are not good enough right now. And I think they can get better, but relying on can or maybe or should is not good enough in a win now window, especially when you have a traffic cone at offensive coordinator and Robert Saleh, who probably is just a very good defensive coordinator and not a head coach. I'm trying, if I'm the New York Jets, I am trying to do everything in my power to maximize a window and negate what the poor coaching does to this football team. Having a guy like Davante Adams does just that, and that is why I'm going to talk about this and why we're going to bring it up every time there's a storyline with Davante Adams cooking around, is because it makes this team significantly better. It enhances their chances of winning a championship, with which that's the goal. I would be all in on a Davante Adams move. I think it's something that could be on the table for this team, and it's going to be something we'll talk about a lot this month. So get used to it. Guys, that'll do it for me in this video. Sound off below in the comments what you think. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you next time.